Welcome to Joidala Fashion Guide. In today's video, we are going to be looking at how to draft an off-shoulder basic bodice pattern. Now, you need to note the following measurement before you can sew an off-shoulder. You need the around the shoulder measurement. You need to take the around the shoulder, and then you need your across chest. Across chest is from one arm, from here to here, from one armhole to the other. That is your across chest. You need your across chest. Then you make use of your across chest or across back, the one you use for the regular shoulder. You need that measurement. Now, when you get your across the chest measurement, you are going to divide it by 2, and then you are going to subtract 2 to be able to get the wideness of the off shoulder. And then we need our bust measurement. We need the bust measurement. We need the underbust measurement. Underbust is just here. You need the underbust measurement, and then you need the waist measurement. If you are going to be using it for a peplum, your pattern will stop at the waist level. But if it is for a dress or a full blouse, then you also make use of the hip measurement. Now, the difference between the off-shoulder pattern and the regular pattern is that there is no shoulder. This is a basic bodice pattern. So you can see it has a neckline and it has a shoulder. The off-shoulder, there is no shoulder. You only have a neckline. Now, in an off-shoulder, to draft an off-shoulder pattern, you have to determine how much off you want to take away from the shoulder. That is from this shoulder line. How much do you want to take off to make it off shoulder? So you can use from 4.5 to 5.5, except you want it very, very low. But I think 4.5 or 5 or 5.5 is ideal. For our pattern illustration today, we are going to be using 5 inches off. So that means if you already have a basic bodice pattern like this, you can convert it to an off-shoulder pattern. What you simply do is just to measure from here, from the shoulder, measure how many off that you want, and then just cut that place off. As simple as that. The same thing for the back bodice. This is the back. This is the back bodice pattern. So, how much off you want? The same that you use for the front, you also use it for the back. You use 5 inches for the front, then you use 5 inches for the back, and then you just mark it. So, we'll be going to the board now to see how to draft an off-shoulder basic bodice pattern. Let's go. You're welcome back. So we are drafting an off-shoulder basic bodice pattern. I already have some lines ruled out here. The shoulder off, the bust line, the underbust, the waist, and then the hip. I'll be telling you how I got that. So let's look at the measurements that we are working with. We are working with a round shoulder of 46. We are working with across chest 17, bust 40, underbust 35, waist 38, hip 46, and then the shoulder to bust is 11, shoulder to underbust is 15, shoulder to waist is 18, and these are the lines that we have marked out here. We have marked out, assuming this is the shoulder from the regular bodies, we have marked out the shoulder to bust line, shoulder to underbust, then shoulder to waist, and shoulder to hip. From the waist to the hip, you have taken 8 inches. Then the bust span that we are working with is 8 inches. We'll be dividing that by 2 and adding sewing allowance, so it will give us 4.5. The bust, the underbust, the waist, and the hip will be dividing each of our measurement by 4. And then the across the chest measurement will be dividing by 2 and subtracting 2 to be able to know where to mark as our neckline. So from the illustration we showed earlier, we are using, assuming this is a regular bodice pattern and this is the shoulder. You know, normally you would have marked shoulder, you would have divided by 2 and marked 8.5. You would have marked the 8.5 here. But for an off shoulder, we do not need this part. For regular bodies, you will need it, but for an off shoulder, we don't need it. So, assuming this is now the shoulder line of a regular bodice, you determine how many off you want from the shoulder. And we have taken 5. So we want 5 inches off our shoulder line. So I'm going to leave this line here as a guide for beginners so that they will not be confused. So 5%, 5 inches off, and that's why I said shoulder off. So this will now be the new shoulder that we are working with. Now, the across chest, we said 17, we divide it by 2 and then we subtract 2. 17 divided by 2 is 8.5 and we subtract 2 from that, we have 6.5. So on this off shoulder line, we will mark 6.5. Now, if you are working on your fabric, remember to add a sewing allowance to that of 0.5 inches. Okay, and then this is our bust line. Shoulder to bust is 11. This is our bust line. To get the chest line, from this bust line, we would go up by 2 inches. So from the chest line, you go up by 2 inches. So this becomes our chest line. So from this point, so that we'll be able to take the armhole curve. So this is now the chest line. Okay, and then on this same chest line, we are going to take our bust divided by 4, which is the armhole length. The armhole length. Armhole length is bust divided by 4. From this measurement, our bust is 40. 40 divided by 4 is 10. So place it at this beginning point and mark your 10. So that is where the armhole length will stop. And then from here, you just, it's not a sharp, you just do something like this as the armhole curve. You can use your ruler to do that. You can use your French curve to do that. So this is our curve. So the next thing I'm going to be marking on is the bust point measurement. The bust point measurement. We are using 4.5 because we have added the allowance. Bust point is 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Plus 0.5 inch allowance is 4.5. So from here on the bust line, I'll mark 4.5. On the underbust, I'll also mark 4.5. I'll just mark it across. I'll mark it on the waist. I'll also mark it on the hip line. So I'll take it up to this line, to where you have the off shoulder line. I also take it there. And then I'll use a straight ruler to connect all of them. Okay. On this bust line, we are not taking anything there, but we want here to be free. So I'll mark 1 inch up and 1 inch down, 1 inch above the bust line, like this, and 1 inch below the bust line. So that the bust area can be free. And then this part, this place that I have the shoulder, I will take 1/2 inch on both sides, 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch here. Now because I've taken 1 inch here, I'm going to replace it here, 1 inch. And then the new armhole length, I will extend it by 1 inch as well. So this place will now be the new arm curve. This is now the new armhole curve. We will not be using this again. And then I'm going to connect this to this place with a ruler. This part is going to be cut off. And then on the underbust, I'll take 1 inch dart on both sides. One inch dart here, 1 inch dart here. I'll also take same on the waist, 1 inch dart, 1 inch dart. I'll use a ruler to connect from the underbust to the waist with a straight line first. And then I'll use a French curve to connect from the underbust to close to the bust area, like this. So you blend it out so that let there be a continuation from this side. So that is how you blend it out. So we are going to be cutting like this, and then you do the same thing this way. So you make sure it blends into this line. We are going to be cutting here out, and of course your scissors will come like this from here through here. So there's a single line you are going to have here. So the next thing is to mark out the hip part of it. On the hip line, I'll go up by 2 inches. Go up by 2 inches. And then use a ruler to connect it to this dart. So this is the part you are taking off from here down to this place. So after you have gotten this, the next thing is to impute your bust. So this is just the basic bodice pattern. They are already done. So what you have to do next is just to put in your measurements. Bust 40, after dividing by 4, you have 10. You mark it out 10 on the bust line. And then you add your sewing allowance. Let's say 2 inches. This is our new armhole. You also have your allowance, sewing allowance. Let's say 2 inches. This is the original. Then on the underbust, 35 divided by 4 is 8.75. This is 8.5. This is 8.75 here. The dart that was taken, 2 inches dart, you replace it, and then you add your sewing allowance. Okay, and then on the waistline, 38 divided by 4 is 9.5. You mark 9.5. You also add the dart, 2 inches dart. Then you add the sewing allowance, 2 inches. And then on the hip line, we are not taking any dart, just mark your hip. 46 divided by 4 is 11.5. There is 11.5. And then you take the 2 inches. And then use your ruler to connect the lines. So this is where we are now cutting. We are not making use of this. This is just where the normal measurement would have passed. So this part is the allowance, and then you cut. So let's quickly see how the back pattern will look like. So for the back pattern, we also take 5 inches off. This is the 5 inches off line. Okay, and then this is shoulder to bust line, then shoulder to waist. You don't need on the bust. Shoulder to waist, and then shoulder to hip. So this is the hip line. These are our hip line. This is our waist line. This is the bust line, and then this is the shoulder off. This part here is our zipper allowance. We need the zipper allowance of at least 2 inches. Some use 1.5. So this is our zipper allowance. So the across chest you are working with is 17 divided by 2 minus 2, which is 6.5. If you want to mark it, we'll mark after this. So for this back bodice, this is the fold of our fabric. This line is the fold of our fabric, and then we have our zipper. So after the zipper line, we'll mark the 6.5. This is 6.5 plus sewing allowance of 0.5. So mark here. On the chest line, we said on the bust line, so we go up by 2 inches to have the chest line. You can watch my video on basic calculations. It is there. So this is our chest line. So on this same chest line, we'll put our bust divided by 4, which is 10, to know where the armhole curve will stop. The next thing I'm going to impute is our dart. We have taken a dart of 4.5. We got that by dividing the bust span by 2. Bust span is 8. 8 divided by 2, 4. And then we added 0.5 inch sewing allowance. So from here, not from here, after the zipper, we mark 4.5 on the bust line. Then on the waist line, we also mark 4.5. We take it down to the hip line, 4.5. Okay, we use our ruler to connect that. On this hip line, we go up by 1 inch. On the bust line, we also go up by 1 inch. So that's where the dart to start from. We'll take the dart only on the waistline, ½ inch on both sides. So the dart is similar to the basic bodice, back pattern. It's just the same. The only difference is that this one has shoulder. So if you want to use this, if you want to use your basic bodice pattern to draft your off shoulder, you just mark from the shoulder line the 5 inches off. Now use here. From here down becomes your off shoulder. It's as simple as that. So let's connect our lines. So it is this part we are taking off. So that just it for the back pattern. Then you go ahead to impute the measurements, the bust measurement, bust divided by 4 plus your sewing allowance. You also put sewing allowance on this armhole area. Then the waistline, waist divided by 4, waist divided by 4 plus sewing allowance. Then you go to the hip line, hip divided by 4 plus the sewing allowance. And then we connect with a ruler. So that is all for this class. In our next class, we'll be drafting the off-shoulder bustier basic pattern. Please subscribe to this channel, support my channel, and I hope to see you again in that class.